Bruce, we can have you back to speak on that at a later date, correct?
Sure, absolutely.
Absolutely. So today, what we are talking about is BlueHub. So I want to first preface this conversation with I reached out to BlueHub, and BlueHub did not reach back out to a Tayla Andre. So first and foremost, this was going to be a fair and equitable conversation. Unfortunately, the other party decided that they weren't going to show up or even acknowledge the fact that I reached out for this conversation. So before anybody says anything, I do want to be clear that I did my due diligence. I reached out to the other party, and I do believe, Nadella, you reached out as well, correct?
No, I did not to them.
Oh, hold on. I messed up. Say that again, Nadella?
No, I haven't spoken to them.
You have not spoken to them, but I have on several occasions. They have emails, they have phone calls, and if you had any issue, give me a call at 617-459-0041. That is my direct line, and we can recreate this conversation if you feel like coming to the table. To begin, we have... does anybody have headphones? Because we hear echo, and it's going to be continuous throughout the show if we don't rectify.
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. Then I'll mute my mic when you are speaking to, and if everybody mutes their mic when everybody else is speaking, we're going to do this improvisational. That's probably not even a word, but we're going to improvise and make this work the best that we can. When someone else is speaking, you mute your mic so there's no echo there. And when everyone else is speaking, I will mute mine as well. So starting, let's just begin. What is BlueHub, and who are they, and how long have they been around? Like, we're gonna use you, Nadella, to kind of explain who BlueHub is, and why they existed, even though they are not here today to represent themselves.
Okay, thanks for having me. So what we know of BlueHub is that they based in Roxbury. They've been around since 2000, and they're a nonprofit that works to help businesses, community, and what we're doing is it's about their Son Initiative program. So they have a foreclosure prevention program where we work with homeowners who have homes in foreclosure or for sale, and they buy them from the bank, and then they send them back to the homeowner.
Okay, so we are having difficulty with your mic, unfortunately. For those who did not understand what she just said, BlueHub is based in Roxbury, and they are an organization that markets themselves as helping homeowners that are facing foreclosure. And when the house eventually does go into foreclosure, they end up buying it from the bank at an astronomical rate in debt to the homeowner. And so there's like in the contract, there is somewhere that says, based on this agreement, you have to pay us X amount of dollars, and it's bankrupting homeowners. And so who we have here today are some homeowners that actually experience this. Margaret, go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
Could I just give a little bit more of a background? I mean, Adele said it well, but if I just add a few things. So we, NACA, so during the mortgage crisis, we were, we did a huge numbers of modifications and helped a lot of homeowners. And one of the difficulties we had was that we could get the lenders, servicers, people own the mortgages or that service them. We could get them to reduce their interest rate to as low as 2%. And that was pretty common. But even if you reduced it to 2%, if you didn't reduce sometimes the outstanding principal, then it was still unaffordable. So we were really, really pushing the lenders to reduce their principal to make the mortgage affordable. So let's say you had a $300,000 mortgage, you could reduce it to 2%, and we would want the principal to reduce maybe to 250,000. But that was a real fight. And so what BlueHub did is that they said, okay, what we're going to do is when someone's at risk of foreclosure, they were actually foreclosed on. The homeowners were foreclosed on. And then what they did is that they got the property back from the lender for the appraised value at that time, which is what we always wanted them to do, but we didn't want people to be foreclosed on. But they got it back from people that were foreclosed on. So it was an end around. So our point of view was that if the lender was willing to foreclose but sell the property back to BlueHub, who would then sell it back to the same homeowner, why not do it the most effective way, which would be get the lender to do it right in the first place. But then BlueHub owns the house, so they get the house back at a very low. So if the mortgage was $300,000, they would get it back from the lender about $150,000 because mortgages had so escalated, but the mortgage crisis had such a hit that the values of the properties just hit the bottom. So now you got the property at, let's say, $150,000. But what BlueHub did is they said, okay, we're going to increase that price by 25% and sell it back to, and therefore sell it back to the homeowner, the existing homeowner. And then we're going to charge twice the market interest rate. They're going to do that. And then they're going to add on $5,000 in fees. And then as a kicker to it, which is hard to believe, they said, we're going to do what's called shared appreciation. So if the homeowner, now the same one who was foreclosed on, has the property back, now what they're going to say is if you sell it for a profit or you refinance or you even pay off the mortgage, we want to get back half of what you get. Now, people have tried to refinance, people have tried to sell, all that, but they're getting back hundreds of thousands of dollars in the shared appreciation. And no one's ever seen this before. Now, if you ask BlueHub why they do it this way, why they did it, they said, well, we were the last resort. So we helped the homeowners save their homes. And so, yes, the terms were very high interest rate, jacking up the price by 25%, adding all these fees, shared appreciation. But again, the homeowner got their home back. But that's the same argument that a predatory lender or that a loan shark uses. If you go to a loan shark, you only go to a loan shark when you're absolutely desperate and you have no other alternative. Or a predatory lender, the same thing. Well, BlueHub uses that same logic that says, well, we saved their home. Just like a loan shark says, well, we give you enough money to keep your business or whatever you need to get to stay afloat. When the end result is the loan shark will break your legs if that's the only thing that you're lucky, or worse, what BlueHub does is they just take your home. And you could argue which is worse. But
that's
but
after
it's the
they
same
take all of
concept.
the money too. Like after all of this money is exchanged, if you don't meet these terms at the end of the day, we still take your house.
That's exactly right.
That's insane.
That's the economics of that. So that is the economics, and it's really disappointing that BlueHub is not on this call because I think it's important to have a constructive conversation. To say, okay, this is what we're saying. Okay, here's a forum where you can tell us where we're wrong, but we're suing them, and they haven't even responded to actual claims in there. They always they're ducking and all that. So I said, it's a pity that they won't come up and just have that conversation so we can get their point of view. But what they say in their pleadings in the lawsuit is they blame the homeowners. They say that the homeowners were unappreciative, that the homeowners saved their home. But again, I'll say
Hold
it
on.
again. That's the
Time
same
out.
thing
Time
that a
out.
predatory lender. Yeah.
Jeffrey, does homeowners being unappreciative hold up in the court of law? So Jeffrey is an attorney. I just want to know, like, I didn't hear no facts, Bruce. Like, you didn't hit me with no facts or legalities, and it was just like, does
Hi,
that hold
Tayla.
up? Hi, Jeffrey. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So no, that wouldn't hold up in a court of law. Whether they were appreciative or not, they clearly weren't appreciative, which is what brings us here today.
But those houses appreciated, though.
Sure, the houses have appreciated, and they each of our clients is going to owe an enormous amount of money back to BlueHub.
Mm-hmm. So, to be clear, when the judge takes a look at this as a class action suit and everyone on the line and others get their money, this is 3 times the damage, correct? They're not just getting their money back. They will be getting 3 times the damage as far as Massachusetts legal is concerned.
Well, we have filed a claim under the Consumer Protection Statute, which is Chapter 93A, and you are correct that provides for triple damages. But we have asked for essentially for the judge to rule that these. I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with the echo. To rule that these mortgages should be rescinded, and they should not be deemed to have been appropriate to begin with. Thanks. If you can still hear me, that's good. The echo has gone away.
I got you. Moving forward, I got you. So really quick question for the homeowners. Who had an attorney look over the documents before they signed? And out of the 4 homeowners we have here, nobody had an attorney look over documents. No. John Drea, is that how I say it? John Andrea. My apologies. And from what I can read, John Andrea just refinanced and had to pay 60% in shared appreciation mortgages. She paid BlueHub an extra $95,000 in additional to her balance mortgage of only $85,000, which is damn near double what you originally had to pay. Nadella said that her credit is good and she has to pay 42%. Oh, John Andrea, do you have to pay 60% because of the way your credit is set up?
No, my credit.
We are not able to. Lord have mercy. So moving forward, people just have to have headphones because this is. Unfortunately, Nadella, we cannot properly hear you. John Andrea, we cannot properly hear you. Margaret, can you chime in? Let's see if we can hear you. Please stay. Do not go. Everything you write, I will read. I still want you guys a part of this conversation because it is important and it needs to be heard for other people that are having this issue throughout, and it's throughout the Commonwealth, because I'm looking at some of these addresses in like Southbridge this isn't just a Roxbury problem. Southbridge is some distance away. Margaret, you did not have an attorney look over documents, but what happened for you to trust? What led you to trusting them and to believing them that they were going to help you and not put you in the predicament that you're currently in?
Okay, so we were referred to BlueHub by City Life. And we were going to City Life meetings on a consistent basis. So There were people there giving testimonials of how Blue Hub had helped them and get their homes back, and it was so encouraging. Now, we had heard about City Life through a friend of ours who knew what we were going through. We were basically underwater. And so we started going to the City Life meetings and went through the whole process. In order to be with Blue Hub, we had to actually file for bankruptcy. That's what one of the attorneys from City Life, they're Harvard School students and different stuff, I guess. And I guess they said in order for Blue Hub to help us, we had to file for bankruptcy. Now, when we finally got everything set up with Blue Hub, they told us for the closing, all we needed was a money order for $5,000. I think it was $5,000. And I also had asked them about an attorney, and they said we didn't need to have an attorney. Attorney would be there. We just come in and with the money order, and we signed the papers, and that's what we did.
Thank you, Margaret, for your testimonial. Cheryl, you're currently in Southbridge, and then we'll get to Algernon. Is that how I say it? Elgin, yeah. Elgin. All right, Cheryl, you're in Southbridge. You're not in Roxbury. How did you come to be crossed up with Blue Hub?
So basically, my husband had cancer, and we were having a difficult time making our mortgage. We were seriously underwater. And we tried with the bank. They wouldn't even talk to us. And then I saw a newspaper article. It was in the Worcester Telegram about how wonderful Blue Hub was and they would help. So I called them, and it took me like 6 months to come to the point where I was going to accept it was going to be okay, because I would question them. How are you going to give me such a high interest rate? How am I going to get out of this? How is this going to happen? And they kept telling me, we're doing this to help. We're doing this to help. And so once they had said, yes, they could help, they would deal with the bank. They set up they had told me it could take 6 months. It didn't take 6 months. It was probably just a couple months. And they said it was all set to go. So basically, we owed $265,000 on our house. And we had tried to do a short sale through real estate, and we couldn't even get one person to come or put an offer at $150,000. It went down to nothing. So they came in and they bought our house for $100,000. And they set up a closing date, October 31st, 2013. It was the same day my husband was getting a biopsy. We were in the hospital, and they told me that we could not delay the closing, that either we did it that day or we lose it. So my oldest son drove us to Boston straight from the hospital, and we were throwing all the papers here, sign, you're good. So they bought the house for $100,000. They sold it back to us for $140,000. And they had said to me multiple times over and over again, don't worry, it's a high interest rate. Within a year, you'll refinance, you'll be on your feet, and you will refinance and be out from under us. You could be able, your credit will be fixed, everything will be fine. So at the year mark, I tried. And the bomb was dropped on me when they said to me, you can't refinance. You did what is considered a short sale, which is like a bankruptcy. You got to wait 4 years. So then I still, being ignorant and fighting cancer at the same time, was like, okay, we'll just get through this. These people are so nice. They're not going to take advantage of us. They're going to work with us. So when I went to refinance, they then said, you have a second mortgage. And I said, no, I don't. And they said, yes, you do. And I fought with them saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Where would I get a second mortgage? Then they came back and they said, it's called a shared appreciation mortgage. And there's no amount attached to it. They decide what you have to pay. And then I still said, well, it's okay. They're going to work with us. They would not take all my, all this money. If I'm trying to refinance to get a lower interest rate, how would I have to now come up with all this money? So basically.
You had hope.
Oh,
you
yes.
had belief.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's not the way that it worked, though. Eljon, did you have a similar? So I'm learning to take off the echo. Everybody is muted. I will take you off when it's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to Trump you and Biden you, but that's where we're at right now. Eljon, can you tell us a little bit, like, how was your story? How did you come to terms with BlueHub?
Good morning.
Good rising. I'm gonna need for you to yell at me. Where that bass at?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Listen, Cheryl speaks like spot on with me. I was caught in a financial hardship after I got injured at work, and I was out of work for a while. And I was referred to BlueHub. At the time, they were known as Boston Community Capital Sun Initiative. I was referred to them through the Attorney General's office to work with this nonprofit. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Lean back. Yeah. And coming from the Attorney General's office, okay, they're vetted. So, they're solidified because it's the Attorney General. And I worked with them. And just like Cheryl, I got a surprise call about a closing. I had to go to the bank. I had to go grab my wife from work, ask her boss, can she leave early? Then we fly down to BlueHub. We started to do the closing. We had to come in with a check, like about maybe close to like $2,500, which we really did not have. We ended up doing the closing. I asked the attorney that came in, did we need an attorney? He goes, no, you don't need an attorney. He goes, because, they're here to help you. And also, I might add, this attorney, we all found out, all of us sitting here talking to you together, found out that this attorney actually does possibly work for BlueHub, because we all had the same story where he came in and said he was doing this as a last minute favor to do the closing. This is what he told us. And he flew through all the paperwork with me and my wife. And I did not find out that I even had a shared appreciation attached to my mortgage until I got everything in the mail. And then someone told me about an article that Nardella was in. And then I started doing some more investigating into this. And that's when I found out that, in my opinion, these guys are loan sharks. And this is based on my experience with these people. And now I have a 47% percentage that I have to pay back in equity if I want.
How much percent?
Over 47%. 47%.
47. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and see if we can get you, Nadella, to tell your story, and John Andrea, see if we can get you to tell your story now that we know we're just going to mute mics. So go ahead, Nadella. Everybody's story is a mirror image of yours?
Can you hear me? Okay, so yes, my story is very similar to all the other homeowners. I actually saw BlueHub Boston Community Capital on national news. CBS evening program featured them as a way to offer a program to help foreclosed homeowners restore their dignity. And they did like a 10-minute piece on a homeowner who was in Randolph that bought her home back through Boston Community Capital, which is at the time. So I saw the piece. They were Massachusetts based, and I said, well, let me call them. And my home was already foreclosed on. I said, there's a chance for me to buy my house back. I'll do it. I'll do it on my own. I will do that. So I did. I called them. They gave me a phone screening. I had to submit a letter, my taxes and pay stubs, work history. I qualified, and the way they explained it to me is that they have negotiating power with the banks, because the banks will not deal with homeowners who have been foreclosed on. So they were the only source and only means for me to get
Jeffrey,
my
is
home
that a
back.
true statement
So-
about homeowners will banks will not deal with homeowners? They will only deal with a third party.
Well, it really depended at that time. I mean, the main point of what went wrong with these transactions is that people were unaware of what they were getting themselves into. Everyone in this group certainly really didn't understand that they would owe shared appreciation to the tune of 50% of the value of their homes when they got into these transactions. And they were, because they were really seduced by this organization to, on the basis in part that they were a nonprofit saying that they were going to help you, they didn't really explore other alternatives that might have been available at the time, such as modification of their loans. So that is, a lot of the basis of the complaint.
But I can add to that if I could.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Mark.
So I am in no way for victim blaming. That is not what I do. But for people, for like refinancing your house or anything regarding such a huge commitment, would an attorney have seen this? Mark and Jeffrey, would an attorney have seen this and say, do not sign this? Or could an attorney have renegotiated the terms? Do you guys have anybody that's in the class action suit that does have an attorney that still was swindled by this company? At Mark, Jeffrey, anybody?
I am aware of no one who had an attorney who was negotiating on behalf of the homeowners during these transactions.
So for all the homeowners, you all were told that this attorney was just a mutual, it was not a BlueHub attorney, but a mutual party attorney. Did anybody ask questions at the table? Did anybody look through the documents themselves? I know I'm not an attorney. The bold print, give it, and the fine print, take it away. I have no idea about nothing on paper, but I do like flip through and pretend like I know a little something. Did anybody engage in that and have any questions at the table during closing?
Well, Tayla, let me just say, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. And then Aljon is going to pick up from the question that I asked about whether or not anybody asked questions at the table.
Okay, do you want me to answer your question? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, yes.
So I just wanted to add a piece to this conversation, which is, and you're asking, the right sort of questions about, what people knew at the time. Well, part of our lawsuit is that there are comprehensive regulations for these types of mortgage transactions. These are the largest transaction that most people will make in their lives. And so federal law and Massachusetts law requires there to be very clear disclosures so that people can understand exactly what it is they're getting into and are able to compare with other mortgage products out there. And the legislature works very hard to make it so that people can come to understand what they're doing before it happens, and that they're not taking advantage of mortgage lenders, so that people know what they're doing and can make intelligent choices. We have alleged in our case that those rules were not followed in this case.
And I believe Cheryl said like 2003 or 2003, like that was years and years ago. So I'm annoyed that this is still ongoing, because I'm all about swift and for justice to be swift. Aljon, I'm going to bring you up as far as asking questions at the table. But before I do, Jeffrey, you mentioned, or it was mentioned that somebody was told by the Attorney General told him to call. And so has anybody contacted the Attorney General? Like, you were referring these people. Where do you hold liability here?
Well, it is a bit of a mystery. Sorry, can you turn off your mic? The echo is very difficult to deal with. It is a little bit of a mystery why it is that the Attorney General's office continues to refer people to this organization. But I will tell you that we have many circumstances where people are complaining to the Attorney General's office about BlueHub and BCC, and they receive a letter in return informing people to contact BCC and BlueHub in order to try to fix the situation, without having any realization that the complaint is about BCC and BlueHub. So we are certainly going to explore that going forward. I assume that you read the Boston Globe article about this case that was in a couple of months ago, that has said that the head of BCC was closely tied to Martha Coakley's office. And it is perhaps through that channel that the Attorney General began to advertise BCC as a place for people to go who are in mortgage distress.
Somebody's pockets was being lined. Aljon, I completely forgot. I told John Andrea I do want to hear John Andrea's story, and to see if what you said was completely aligned, like your story is completely aligned with everybody else. Baby, did you mute your mic? Because it's not letting me unmute you. There we go.
Okay, muted. Can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me? Okay. So basically, my husband had lost his job, became unemployed, and I reached out to my bank, which was Bank of America at the time, to see if they could provide assistance. They were unable to provide assistance to us with lowering the mortgage. They told me that to contact my state attorney general's office. I contacted the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General office referred me to BlueHub Capital. BlueHub Capital told me that they could buy the house from the bank and sell it back to me at a low cost. And it sounded good, and it sounded like it was taking pressure and relief off of me. And I was okay with it. And I went on and I had let them do the paperwork and stuff. And they told me, I asked if I needed an attorney. They said, no, you don't worry, we'll take care of everything. And well, they sold the house back to us. They bought it at $60,000 and they sold it back to me at $90,000. At $90,000, I had a mortgage with them, and then going from that point, I didn't refinance till 6 years later, which brings me to December 2019. And in December 2019 is when I tried to refinance. I had great credit. The mortgage company that I was working with said it shouldn't be an issue. Then we get towards the end of the refinancing process. That's when they told me, hey, we noticed you have a second mortgage. And I said, a second mortgage? What are you talking about? And they said, you have a second mortgage with BlueHub. You need to contact them. They said NSP. And I said, okay. I said, I'll contact them. I reached out to them. They said, did you get an appraisal from the bank that you're dealing with? I said, yes, I did. They said, you need to fax those documents to us. I faxed them over. When I faxed them over, it said $246,000 for the appraisal. What came back from BlueHub was a payoff amount in the amount of $95K. And I said, okay, is the $95K the mortgage? And they said, no, that's separate. That's a totally different thing. This is your SAM that you owe us. You have to pay that on top of your mortgage. When I heard that, I was devastated.
And everybody's talking about Sam. Aljon, we're going to come to you. How you wanted to reply, and then Nadella, we're going to come to you because I'm reading and you're talking about the SAM not parted, so I'm going to have you explain a little bit to the listeners what the SAM is. I think my biggest fear right now, Bruce and Jeffrey, is we are going to be looking at catastrophic numbers when it comes to foreclosures based on what's going on with the pandemic, and for them to be a predatory lender that I don't even know how they exist right now. Go ahead, Aljon.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, so you asked a question about the attorney and asking questions. My question to the attorney was, when will I get everything? And his response was, when everything is finalized. The signing I did was more in reference to the short sale of the whole deal. So I'm still believing, because they're from the Attorney General, vetted from the Attorney General's office, that everything is on the up and up and legit. So he's just flying through all the documents. And that's when I said, do I need an attorney? He goes, no, you don't need an attorney. He goes, we're the ones who saved you. BlueHub saved you. So there's no need. So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. But when I got my paperwork in the mail, my mortgage payment increased from $1,171 a month to $2,766.92 a month. Yes.
Have mercy. Scamming. Nadella, what is SAM, and how was SAM explained to you as a homeowner?
Well, that's the thing. The SAM wasn't explained to me. It wasn't explained to me at the closing. I didn't find out about it until I tried to refinance. And when I asked them what it was, is they said, well, you signed the documents. Okay. I initialed documents that were just language. There was no numbers or breakdowns of it. So now I come to find out, actually through our attorneys, that it's what they calculate, what BlueHub calculates as the balance when we lost our homes to what they sold us. They sold the homes back to us for. So the loss that they say, they claim that it's a risk on their part, but it's not. It's an entirely new mortgage. And they've assessed that loss that the former bank underwrites and pays off onto us. And we don't know that until it's time when we want to sell our homes or refinance. So we literally have to pay this extra money when our credit's good, when we want to continue building up our wealth equity through our homes as a major investment, and they tack this on to us. And it's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not fair. Margaret, it seems like, I feel like Margaret wants to say something. You want to add to the conversation, Margaret?
In the chat. Well, I don't know what else I can add, because our story, as much as they're different, they're the same. So, I mean, yeah, we just, right now, we just want the attorneys are doing an awesome job. We just want this Sam to go away. To me, the lawsuit isn't even about money or anything like that. It is about making that Sam go away, because right now, in our situation, we if we refinance, well, last year we tried to refinance. Was it last year or 2018? I don't remember. But anyway, we have to give them 54%. And then on top of that, we have to give them, I was told they'd be willing to, because we basically bought a fixer-uppers, and that's what we've been doing with our own funding, with our own credit cards, 401k, our retirement funds. So when we spoke to Ron McCormick, we said to him, well, I mean, when we bought the house, it was a fixer-upper, and now we have all this equity. It's really not fair. And he said they would be willing to give us back something if we can provide them with receipts. And they would give us back 75% of that, which means
Listen,
25%
I would
of
pull
that
receipts from everywhere, nowhere, somebody else's construction. I would have pulled. We did the kitchen, the bathroom. We fixed the foundation.
Yeah, but the thing is, we didn't get to refinance, because if we pay them, like we're like in John Andrea's situation, if we pay them a 54%, let's say we take out all of the equity and we pay them 54%, we don't have anything left, really, because they only allow you, when you refinance, they allow you, I think it's like 80% they were giving us of the equity. We have nothing left, so we are basically just we're refinancing
to pay them
for
no reason at all. Bruce,
right.
It sounded like you wanted to add something.
Sure. Yeah. So reputation as an advocate for tenants and for homeowners too. So people relied on that. But in addition to that, they worked with the Harvard Housing Clinic. So these were Harvard Law School students in the Harvard Housing Clinic as attorneys to give advice. So here you have a nonprofit saying it's a good thing to do. Here you have Harvard saying it's a good thing to do. Here you have the Attorney General of Massachusetts saying it's a good thing to do. And here you have all this media out there. It was on, PBS. It was on the national news. So, this idea that somehow the homeowners are to blame is outrageous.
So, Bruce, really quickly, the question that keeps coming up in the comments is, how does this organization exist? And so we know, like, City Life is known for doing good work. Does City Life still associate themselves with this organization?
We don't know. As far as we can tell, they I don't know, they don't, or they might. We just don't know. But a lot of ways that people heard about this lawsuit and what we're doing at NACA. So just to take one step back, I worked with the Boston Globe to do an expose during the first gubernatorial election between Martha Coakley and Governor Baker. And this became a big issue back then, because this was a front page story back then, because we had known about this. And I had conversations with City Life saying that this was wrong way back when they were doing it. And I said, this is a bad thing, because you're letting these lenders off the hook. You're letting them off the hook. You should join NACA and others to say you should do a principal reduction or principal forbearance without foreclosing. And they refused. So I don't know what the economics were. I don't know why they did it this way. I don't know whether it's money involved or whatever it is, but it was wrong. So this is not a surprise to anybody. But one other thing I just want to add. So we said to the homeowners, we said to Nardella, if you come together, NACA will support you. And I just want to give a lot of credit to the homeowners, because they fought, and they fought not only against BlueHub, but they organized themselves as a powerful force to take on, BlueHub and some big players out there, and they're winning. So kudos to all the homeowners who've come together to hold this organization accountable and to expose what the Attorney General did, what Harvard did, and what other big players out there did.
So we are coming to the top of the hour, Bruce. One of the things that I want to do is I want to give your information, I want to give Jeffrey's information, and I want to give Nardella's information. So if anybody is going through foreclosure now, or pre-foreclosure, or even getting the letters possibly about foreclosure, what is the first step do they need to take, Bruce?
Well, they need to go to our website, because we're still helping homeowners, because there's a lot of organizations that were doing it that aren't doing it now. I'm not even sure that City Life and all those are doing it now. So they need to go to our website at NACA.com, www.naca.com, or they can call our home save department, which is 801-401-6222. So 801-401-6222.
Give it two more times, just in case they didn't have a pen ready. Sure. They weren't ready. That you guys gonna have to go back to the replay. But go ahead and give both the email, the address, and the phone number.
So to go to our website at NACA.com, NACA.com, or to call the Home Save Department at NACA at 801-401-6222, or you can email homesave@naca.com. HOMESAVE @naca.com. And we're helping a lot of homeowners, and it's only going to get worse as this pandemic continues, and and as we see, the rates are going up on that now as we speak.
We do see those. So I just want to thank all of the homeowners. Of course, Cheryl, you wrote, thank you for listening to your story. This is disheartening. It's annoying, and it's people like these that just really make out a bad name for organizations that actually do try to help. Jeffrey, one more time, just the legality of it, Jeffrey, because we're trying to understand if these laws are put in place to make sure that consumers are protected, how does BlueHub exist?
BlueHub is maintaining that they're not, at least these shared appreciation mortgages are not governed by the applicable laws. They've crafted their mortgage products in a way that separates out the 30-year mortgage from the shared appreciation mortgage. And their position is that the shared appreciation mortgage is not subject to the normal truth in lending laws. And I think that is how they're trying to get around the regulations that require certain disclosures to enable people to be informed about the mortgage product that they're buying into. So that is one of the major issues in our case, whether this shared appreciation mortgage is really part of a single transaction for which they are required to give the correct sort of disclosures under federal and state law.
The discussions and wanting the Massachusetts Banking Commission, the Commission of Banks to look at that, because the entity that's holding the shared appreciation is not regulated. I mean, they're not even approved to do this as a second mortgage lender. So there's a lot of issues out there.
Pause.
Yeah.
If at any point in time I mistreat, so I'm a real estate agent, right? Maybe
Yep.
that wasn't clear. Hi, I'm Tayla Andre, real estate. If you are in the city of Boston, you probably see my signs all over the place with me and the baby. I love my license, and we just recently had a fair housing meeting to cover all of the things that are happening in the city of Boston, the state of Massachusetts, regarding fair housing and what you can and cannot do. And if at any point in time I pick up the phone and tell somebody, nah, my landlord's not renting because you got a Section 8 voucher, my license is gone. I cannot practice no mas, nowhere. I'm licensed in Georgia. I do not understand how a non-regulated entity if I commingle funds, I lose my license. Like, Jeffrey, I'm perplexed.
Well, we are looking into exactly what sort of relationship these various entities that are creating these mortgage products have with the regulators. And that is also going to be a large part of the case that we are going to be investigating as we go forward.
Need to focus on it. It's very interesting. The investors. So remember, BlueHub can't do this without investors. So investors have pledged over $100 million, to this. Now the investors were told that this is good stuff. So that this is something that is not just where they're going to get a good return on, but they're going to be doing good. So they have defrauded not just the homeowners. They've defrauded their investors out there. And what you said, which is really important, is that it gives everybody a bad name. It's like, when entities say, they're doing good, whether it's City Life or it's BlueHub or it's Harvard or whomever, it gives the whole industry a bad name. And then when you go to investors and you say, we want your hundreds of millions of dollars, huge amounts of money. We want you we want that money available to do good. And yet by saying you're doing good, you're actually doing bad. That just, limits other people and other good opportunities out there, because people become very cynical. And so that's why it's even worse. If you know that, Countrywide is predatory. That, a lot of these subprime lenders are predatory. Wells Fargo, predatory. All these entities are predatory. That's it. But then when you have these ones who say they're doing good, who pretend they're doing good, but they're doing the same predatory practices, that is even worse.
Absolutely.
And it has a devastating impact on other organizations and other entities that want to do good.
Such as
and are doing
NACA.
good.
Correct? Such as NACA, who is doing good work, who is helping people, and who are not taking advantage of other people, right, Bruce?
Oh, absolutely. But, absolutely. And we do it the right way. But there's a lot of other organizations that are doing it the right way as well. Mm-hmm. So it just really has a huge impact, a negative impact on the whole industry as a whole.
And so Cheryl, I'm going to unmute your mic really quickly. So Cheryl, we have a whole private chat going on, y'all. I should have had you guys go ahead and post in the public chat so people could have read what you guys were reading, but we definitely are going to continue this conversation, and we are going to do it in Spanish because apparently they are reaching out to all communities and pretending to be this savior and taking advantage of, like, no one is exempt over here.
And they're doing it in Massachusetts. You see it in Maryland. You see it in, a number of states, Pennsylvania, DC. You see it in a number of states out there. So it's not just Massachusetts. And they're trying, and they're still doing it. Believe it or not, they're still doing it. It's hard to believe. The arrogance.
Cheryl, how many in the Latin community so far are you aware of? And then Nadella also mentioned for any homeowners that are currently going through something similar or the exact same thing, they meet once a week. All the homeowners meet and they are getting down and getting busy and getting the justice that they deserve. Cheryl, how many so far have you guys come in contact with?
It's probably been about 10 that are mainly Spanish speaking. But there's probably many more out there that, because they are Spanish speaking, have not been able to make that contact or understand the information.
Really quickly, Jeff, everybody, we have literally 3 minutes. As far as getting the word out there. So they've been using media. They've been using television. They've been using newspapers. As far as getting some money up together to put an ad in the paper to warn possible other victims. I know advertising is expensive. I know firsthand, but has there been any efforts to do some form of advertising to reach out to say, like, not even like bashing BlueHub, but if you need help, this is where you need to come. And these are the stories of others that have used BlueHub. Anybody, is there any money towards that effort?
That's a very good idea. Maybe we can talk about that.
I just want 20%. No, I'm joking. This is nonprofit. I thank you guys so much. If you are a homeowner, please contact Nadella. Her email is on the post. It's NARDELLA_ not the dash in the middle, but the one on the bottom, 5 at yahoo.com. Again, it's N as in Nancy, A as in apple, R as in red, D as in dog, E as in elephant, LL, A as in apple, _ not the one in the middle, the one on the bottom, 5 at yahoo.com. I truly do appreciate every single last one of you. Bruce, I emailed you and I didn't get a reply. I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. We've been jammed with these 150 vans going back and forth, getting people to the polls. So I'm here in Atlanta, been in Houston, going to Charlotte. Our focus right now is getting people to the polls to have their vote counted and their voice heard. So I apologize.
No worries.
You have my cell phone, right?
Well, now that you called, I have you locked in, and I definitely will. We're going to have a Bruce Marks NACA conversation for everybody who is a homeowner, wants to become a homeowner, needs help becoming a homeowner in the next 10 years, wants to be a homeowner. We'll have that conversation with Bruce. I thank you, Nadella, Joandria, Margaret, Cheryl, Eljon. I appreciate all of you. Also, homeowners need to contact their Attorney General's office and lodge a complaint if you have a Sam mortgage with BlueHub, aka Boston Community Capital. You need to contact your Attorney General immediately, and y'all need to go ahead and find Martha Coakley and tell her to give you your money back. I thank you. I love you.
And to call the Division of Banks. That's really important to file the complaint with the Division of Banks as well as the Attorney General.
He said Division of Banks.
Of Banks, yes.
Okay. I went ahead and put that in the chat as well. Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you so much to all of the homeowners. 2013 was a long time. I pray for a quick and expedient trial for you guys to not only get your money, but get 3 times your money, and for Sam to be completely dismantled and never to be able to come in anybody else's pockets again. Ashe? Ashe.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
day.
Tayla.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Tayla Andre. Waking Up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day that we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Did you know this many people, and this wasn't even like a real like heavy effort. This wasn't a heavy lift. This was, Tayla, we have a problem. This is what's going on in the community. Can you help? So there could be thousands of others out there that are currently victims of BlueHub that don't even know that there's a whole community for them as far as support is concerned. We are going to take a quick break because that was a lot. That was heavy. As a real estate agent, I was trying to look for, I have this audio. So I have a homeowner that's selling her home in Mattapan, and I have my stake in the ground home for sale, my face smiling, and Anari during an open house was passing out flyers in the neighborhood. And one of the homeowners called me at 6:30 a.m., 7:30 a.m. I don't know what time it was. It was early. I was still asleep. I woke up to a voicemail. I typically don't have, calls that early in the AM. And so I'm listening to the voicemail, and she's like, Tayla Andre, radio personality or whatever you think you are, don't be trying to come in here in the Black community and steal our homes and tell us to sell our homes. You need to tell us to buy our homes. And it really hurt my feelings, because you guys know how hard and how heavy that I go for our community. And for her to attack me like I was actually doing some type of predatory lending. Listen, there are so many real estate agents that don't live in the community, don't care about the community, don't fight for the community, don't advocate for us at all, but have no problem selling your house, putting it on the market, and making sure that their friend, their colleague, their business partner is the offer that you received, because you really got 6 offers, but they're telling you that you got 2 offers, and one's super low and is non-existent, and then you have the other one that is hand-in-hand partners with your real estate agent. That's not how I get down. That's not how I treat my people. And to be attacked in that manner when there's actual predators out here was ridiculous. I looked for the voicemail because I'm petty. Y'all know I'm petty. I was looking for the voicemail so we could play it, so somebody could tell their auntie what I really do out here in these streets, and tell her to call me back, because I did call her back, and I left her one of her famous Tayla 5-minute voicemails, and she didn't call back yet. I'm still waiting. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley in the building. I am so excited. Waking Up with Tayla Andre, unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness.